Hey. Okay, no, I already hate myself. I can't. How do people wear these inside? I just don't get it. I can't. Or like they wear them on top of their hat, or they don't wear a hat at all because I can't. I can't even. I can't. This is just too much. Hats are itchy. Like I don't know if girls like feel that way, but they're so itchy. Okay, whatever. Boys, you're weird. Anyways, all right. So today we're talking about lifetime income, and I'm wearing my Spurs jersey, just so you know. 50 Robinson. If you don't know, you need to know. This man. Anyways, okay. So today we're talking about lifetime income. I did put some incomes over here, so if you get bored listening to me, you can check that out. I'm gonna talk about that in a second, anyways. Lifetime income. So it's just like what it says, you know. So you've got your life, and you have your income. So income is just the money that you earn over time. So there's a difference. There is hourly. So some people get paid hourly. So that means that the more hours that they work, the more money that they get, right? Then there's people like me who get something called a salary. So hourly and salary, not celery, salary. I wonder if they meant to make those hourly, salary. I don't know. Salary, not sour. Gotta stop saying it. Okay, so salary means that you're gonna be paid a certain amount over the year, no matter how many hours you typically work. So for me, if my contract ends at 4:15, which it does, shout out to those people that leave early. Stop it. Just kidding. You do you. I don't care. I'm not your boss. That's above my pay grade. But if my day ends at 4:15, so like kids end at 3:55, right? You guys end at 3:55. As teachers, we don't end until 4:15. If I stay until 6 or 5:30 or 5, I don't get paid for those hours. If I grade papers over the weekend and things like that, I don't get paid for that because I'm salary. So salary means that I get paid a certain amount over the year. Okay. There are certain jobs that you get paid overtime. So like my brother is a police officer, so he gets paid a certain amount. And then if he takes extra jobs and he takes overtime, then he gets paid for those extra jobs. My dad did that a lot growing up. So he'd work like my dad was a police officer too. So my dad would work Thanksgiving, he'd work Christmas Eve typically, and Christmas Day, and things like that. And so he'd get paid extra for working those days because technically those days, like he wasn't supposed to be working and he did anyways. So he'd get there's another thing called time and a half. So you get paid what you would normally get paid per hour, but then you also get paid extra. So it's pretty cool. So I didn't see my dad during those times, but we always just kind of thought this is dad's work. So that's how it is. So that's how a lot of people look at it, is it's work. So get over it. So today we're going to calculate lifetime income. Okay. So one thing that I want to, let's just do this really quick. True or false? So play along. So true or false? Typically, the higher the education, the greater the lifetime income. Typically, the higher the education, the greater the lifetime income. So the more money you would make over your time. This is actually typically true. Typically true. I say typically because we're talking about, so you have high school education, you have your associates. So your associates is 2 years. Bachelor's, which is your 4-year education. So teachers have to have a bachelor's. Then you have masters. So those are people like assistant principals, things like that. And then you have your doctorate. So your doctorate, typically people think of just doctors and stuff like that, but like a superintendent, so the person that's above all of the district, all of the schools and things like that, he has to have a doctorate, typically. I'm not gonna lie, if I had a doctorate, I'd be Dr. Wagner. I would not go by Mrs. Wagner anymore. Love my husband. Dr. Wagner would be it. Heck yeah. Just because if you have a doctorate, that means you've been at school for at least 6 years, at least. Typically, it takes longer, so you deserve it. So, typically, now I'll get back to typically in just a second when we talk about it. Another one, true or false? Once you've chosen a job or career, you have to remain at that job forever. Hopefully you said false, because it's totally false. I have friends that have jumped around from job to job, and then they found their favorite job, and they love their job. My brother, I told y'all in the last video, my brother went through different jobs until he found the job for him, and he's awesome at it. See, I could brag on him all day. But yeah, so once you've chosen a job or career, you don't have to stick with it. That is the beauty of it. So yeah, I mean, people are going to change their minds. That's what we do. We are fickle and we change our minds a lot. Okay, so let's do something like this. Okay, so I'm going to put this closer actually. Okay, so I made a little chart. So first of all, before I show you this chart, because you're going to sit there and you're going to go, what? These are called averages. So it's not like the minimum, like the smallest amount, and it's not the greatest amount either. So it's like right in the middle. So what an average person would make. Now, I say that because some people make way more and some people make a lot less. So this is kind of in the middle. They've probably been working for a little bit, so this is kind of in the middle. So there are people that make a lot more than this, and there are people that make a lot less than this, okay? So the first one, cashiers. So like I said, the more hours you work and things like that, depending on where you work too. Police officers. So my brother, I don't know if this is what he makes. We don't talk about money a lot. Because I don't know. So police officers, the average. Accountant, people that deal with money, things like that. 78,822. Lawyers can go from really low to really high. So they could be making in the 100,000s and things like that. So shout out to my lawyers. Doctors. So once again, you can go lower. Doctors typically don't go pretty low. They typically go higher. And things like that. And also depends on what kind of doctor you are. So it depends on what they call it a specialty. So what do you specialize in? So if you're like a children's doctor, a pediatrician, is going to be different than if you're a surgeon who works on people's hearts. So it's completely different. So big deal. Doctors get paid a lot because of the fact that, you know, people could die. So you have to be really careful. The president. If you notice that's a lot of zeros, it's because it is a fixed, like, I don't think it's changed in years and years and years. So this is how much they get paid to run the entire country. So if you know, people that play sports make more money than that. Not weird. Anyways, okay. And then I put this on there for funsies. WNBA, the average salary is $79,000. In fact, the highest paid WNBA player is only like $117,000 in comparison to the NBA refs, who make on the low end $150,000 and on the high end they make $550,000. Let me get that straight really quick. The WNBA, the typical player gets this much. The NBA ref gets double. Weird, isn't it? Weird. Anyways, okay. So what does this all mean? So what all this means is that on like tests and things like that, they typically will give you a chart, and then they'll ask you things like, how can I tell the difference between different jobs over time and over life? Now, here's where things get really tricky, okay? So in 6th grade, we don't talk about it a lot. So, but I'm going to tell you anyways. All of these questions that the test, STAR test, and things like that, they ask you about these kind of things are dumb. And here's why. Don't come after me, Texas, whatever, but they're dumb. And here's why. Because over time, you're not going to make the same amount of money, okay? So like what I started as a teacher is not what I'm going to make by the time that I end my career when I'm in my 70s. Lord willing, right? Okay. So if the more years I have, the more money I'm going to get paid. So these questions don't make tons of sense because there is that idea of you can get a promotion and get paid more. You can do all these different things. Now, another thing that a lot of times they don't have on there are jobs that you go to trade school and you can make good money going to trade school. So trade schools and things like that, like welders, plumbers, electricians, things like that, you can make really good money doing stuff like that. The hours are a little bit longer, you know, sometimes, but that also depends. A lot of places have their own, they have their own business, so they're their own boss, you know. So that doesn't, a lot of times the state of Texas doesn't take all that stuff into account because they think that you guys have to do the one thing this way, this is how you have to be it. But that's not how it actually works, so I'm going to tell you the truth. And get in trouble for it, probably, but oh well. So yeah. So number one, we're not taking account if they get raises and stuff like that. We're not talking about those trade schools and stuff like that, which we should, but we're not. But thankfully the high school has a lot of that stuff. So at least most high schools do. Our high school does, has a lot of cool stuff where you can leave and already have a lot of that stuff. And fun fact that someone made sure to tell me, and it's true, is that you can leave high school with hours towards college already. So that is true. Absolutely. You can take different classes like dual credit and things like that. You can take AP exams. And so what that does is that you get credit for hours in college. So then in college, you don't have to pay for those classes because you've already done them in high school. So just a heads up. Anyways, back to the math. Okay. So if let's pretend like the average bachelor's salary. So you get a bachelor's degree, the average salary is $57,600. But if you get a master's, so remember bachelor's and then there's master's, right? It would be about $69,000. So if you can tell, this is already going to be more. So then it asks questions like, so this is the test. The test asks questions like, how much more can you get? And they usually give you a certain amount of years too. So this one's over 35 years. Super weird number. I don't know where they came up with that. So there's two ways you can do it. So on this first one, I'll show you the first way. This is my preferred method. This is the way that I typically do it. Actually, let's see which numbers are easier. Let's do, no, just kidding. Let's do it the way that I don't usually like to do it. This way. This is not the way that I would do it, but I have to show you anyways, because there's all different ways to get to the right answer in math. So in here, we would just subtract these two together. So we would subtract, no, that's how I would do it. See, this is how I want to do it. But, so some people say you can just multiply both of these by 35. Okay. Multiply, I should not have used this marker. This marker is terrible. Okay. So you would multiply them both by 35. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7 is 35. Plus 3 is 38. I have to talk out loud, otherwise I'm going to mess up. 25 times 5 is 25. Plus 3 is 28. Add my 0 because I'm in my tens place. I'm going to cancel these out. So then 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 6 is 18, carry my 1. Ooh, almost messed that up, see? 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. 5 times 3 is 15, 15 plus 2 is 17. And then we add them together. Oh my goodness. So 7, 8, 9, 10, too much work. So the difference over 35 years would be about $2 million. Just kidding, because we still have more work to do. Okay, so then you have to do it over here. You have to do it over here, and then 5. See, this is why this is not my method. I don't like this method. 34. This is a stupid method. But if I don't show it to you, some of you will be like, can I do it this way? Yeah, you can. 18, 19, 20. Then you add 11, 4, and then 2. And then you would subtract these. Yeah, hear me when I said that. I said you would have to subtract them. Like, you already did all this work, and then you have to do more work. So, okay, I'm going to also check my work because I don't trust myself. So I'm going to get out my handy-dandy calculator because, hello, whenever you become an adult, you'll get a calculator anyways, right? Okay, so the way that I would normally solve it, I'll tell you what I would normally do. Normally, I would subtract them. Yeah, I got the right answer. Okay, so normally, I would subtract these first find the difference for 1 year, and then multiply it by the 35 years. So, like this. I had a third one, but I don't think I'm going to do it. Anyways, okay. So if you have an elevator technician, so someone who works on elevators, yeah, they'd be making probably good money, because if they break, scary. And then a librarian, telling everybody to shush. Okay, so it's over 10 years. So this is the way that I would normally do it. I would actually take it and I would subtract it, find what the difference is for 1 year. 1 year. Okay, so obviously we need to borrow 9 and then 10, 3, 9, 8 minus 4 is 4. Borrow again. 11 minus 4 is 7. 6 minus 5 is 1. Okay, now once again, before I keep going and I screw this all up, I'm going to check my work, because if I'm at home, why would I not? Why would I not? Yay, I did the math right. I am a teacher, but I do things wrong a lot. Because I'm human. I am not a computer. Just kidding. Computers do stuff wrong too. So if you do times 10 years, because this is 1 year, this is the difference for 1 year. Okay, so this is like a proportion. So 1 year, now you get to get to 10 years. So some people are already like, Ms. Wagner, don't you know the zero trick? Yes, of course I do, but I have to do the math. I have to show all of the math. Okay. So over time, the elevator technician would make $174,930 more than the librarian. So what a job might not seem like it makes that much more in 1 year. Like, oh, okay, they're not making that much more to me. But over time, we're talking a lot of money, right? Money's not everything. Just remember that. Money is not everything. So pick a job that you are passionate at and that can pay the bills so that you can eat and things like that. But pick a job that you're passionate at. And the big thing is stick with that job at least until you find another job. So if you want to change your job, then you get another job before you change your job, so that you don't miss payments and stuff like that. But big thing, subtract for lifetime income, subtract the money first and then multiply it by however many years, and that'll get you the difference in the lifetime income. So yeah, make that money.